The old me would have turned off the game right there, gotten frustrated and said, I wasn't really trying anyway, and put it down for a week. Maybe never came back at all. And the wild thing is, I've done this with more than just Pokemon. I'm Taino, welcome to Pokemon Crystal, and this episode is about what happens when you stop letting yourself off the hook. If you're new here, I spent 4 episodes grinding through Pokemon Yellow and completing the full Pokedex, 151 Pokemon with the last one being Mewtwo. I walked out of Kanto with a completed Pokedex and an egg in my party who happened to be my boy Squirtle. You thought I would quit with Pokemon Yellow? Nah, this is Pokemon Crystal and the Pokedex run continues. February was a month. Between the layoff, reclaiming my identity as a creator, and completing the Yellow Pokedex that I just talked about, I felt like I finally cemented something. Not a plan, but more so a trajectory. Does everything make sense? Nah. But am I moving in the right direction? Honestly, I don't know. But I'm moving with the faith that the right doors are going to open, and honestly, that's enough for me. Yellow was a homecoming, but Crystal? Crystal's like seeing your best friend for the first time in 20 years, realizing they've been waiting for you too. My parents bought me Silver when I was a kid, and it came with the strategy guide. Shout out Costco once more. And I still have a guide. It's not the same one because obviously I was a kid and I probably destroyed it, but I have the guide. And you best believe I'm using it right now. But when I saw Lugia for the first time, the dark depths of the ocean on that startup screen, that was it. He stayed with me, just like Blastoise. Lugia and Blastoise are my guys. Not even gonna lie, and don't be mad at me. I'm a little thankful to leave Kanto behind. Yellow is great, but do you blame me? I spent more than a month with the Yellow, Blue, and Red. And honestly, the old me would have just completed the Yellow Pokedex and called it a day. But here I am, loading Crystal. Crystal has to start us in New Bark Town. And just give me a second with this music. That's healing for the soul, isn't it? I saved the starter for Cyndaquil. Yeah, it's the easiest pick, but I'm not worried about struggling, especially with Gold where I chose Chikorita, and it makes the game infinitely harder, but Meganium is a beast, so no disrespect to Chikorita. Already you can see the attention to detail from Gen 1 to Gen 2. The upgraded back system alone saves the game. Do you know how great it feels to carry more than 20 items? To not actually have to go all the way to use the TM to see what move it is, and to not have to dig through your menu to get the bicycle? You can register it to select. It's so great. But that mechanic wasn't the only thing that changed everything for me. It was the clock. Crystal introduced the night and day cycle, and as a kid, that meant everything. I grew up in the Dominican, and my parents worked in the States most of the year. My dad always acted like nonchalant about the games he bought us, but I know deep down he's a nerd. He's probably a Pokemon master himself. I gotta ask him if he knows who Rayquaza is or something. But either way, being a kid meant you had to have rules. And I kind of put the same rules on my kids too. You couldn't really play video games until your homework was done. But also in the DR, neighborhoods are different. Everyone is outside all the time. You can't be an introvert in DR. Plus, with how much the power went out, being outside was the only way you could actually be entertained and not be bored and hot in the house all the time. So because of that, I played Silver mostly at night. And let me tell you, those night scenes were everything. The Game Boy didn't have a backlight. Not until the Game Boy Advance SP, or unless you had a flashlight attachment. Or you were doing what I was doing while riding in the car and hoping you got the right street light to light up your screen. Or turning on the reading light until your parents told you to turn it off because the cops will pull us over. My wife still thinks that's illegal. You realize that's not illegal, right? But that's the thing, I didn't stop playing. I found a way. And somewhere between then and now, I just stopped doing that. Somewhere I started putting things down the second they got inconvenient. So back to the story. Silver shows up, and looking at him now through adult eyes, I just see a kid without guidance. Unlike Blue, who's kind of just spoiled, Silver is spoiled but with a daddy complex, I guess. He steals his starter, he bulldozes through everything alone because he doesn't think he needs anyone's help. Does that sound familiar? Take my TikTok, for example. I spent most of my time on Call of Duty, streaming, creating content, and ultimately pivoting after a bad title, having my son, and going back to the office full time. On top of that, I started doing TikTok shop ads, where they would send you something for free and you would just make a video out of it. And that inevitably killed my account. Since then, I've been trying to post my way out of it until I learned what the algorithm actually thinks of me. It thinks I'm a bot. I spend so much time scrolling and liking, but never commenting, never connecting. That TikTok literally thinks my account isn't real. So you know what I actually spend my time doing on that account? Actually talking with people, What a novel concept, right? It's the same energy as Silver, trying to brute force when the answer was just connect. And speaking of connections, I hit the daycare and the old man hands me an odd egg. Now, this thing could be one of 7 Pokemon. I'm hoping for 2 of them, either Pichu or Elekid, and that kind of determines how my party goes. We'll see what shows up, but for now, it rides with me. And then we finally make it to Goldenrod City, the biggest city in Johto. I felt like walking through this new region mirrors the transition that I'm in. Just 2 months ago, I had a stable job. It all came crashing down on a random Wednesday, but maybe that was the push that I needed to move. And here I am. That's exactly where I'm at now. The middle. And the middle is exactly where most people quit. Not the beginning where everything is exciting, nor the end, because the end has momentum in the middle. So make sure you don't quit when you're in the middle. Hey, this is a nice shot though, ain't it? Damn, somebody coming. That's where the voice shows up. The one that says, I barely tried anyway. You know what else I've come to appreciate? Your mom. Not your mom, Joe. Let me chill. In Crystal, she's your biggest supporter. She checks in, she buys stuff with your money. And as a kid, that used to piss me off because it's like, Mom, is this my money? But now as an adult, I understand. Like, the main character is 12 years old. You better give your mom that money. You better call her too. Every character in this game wants to connect with you, and someone even remind you to call your mom. So if you can call your mom today, call her. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. I gotta call mine real quick. Before I can get to the gym, I need to talk about the grind. This grind has definitely been harder than it was in Yellow. In Yellow, I was just catching everything as I went. In this game, the money economy isn't as great. Probably because your mom takes half the money. Bro, I am broke. I go to buy Pokeballs, I can only buy like 5 at a time. And not to mention that when you go to catch a Pokemon, it wiggles to the 3rd time. I'm like, okay, cool. I caught him and he pops out. You know how infuriating that is? So I get to a point where I'm going down to like Union Cave and I forget about the ruins of Alpha. That's like a big point of the story. And as I'm backtracking, I smack my GB operator on the kitchen counter and the whole game freezes. And when I open the game back up, I'm back at Valley City. I beat the gym, but I'm having to do all that over again. I went through it pretty quick and then I finally was able to get back to the ruins. Younger me skipped pretty much all of this because you don't necessarily have to do it, but it's part of the story. I just rushed past the parts that didn't feel like progress because I only cared about the destination. And it's funny how that works because you skip the parts that feel slow and then you wonder why you never feel like you earned the ending. How often do I do that, man? All right, fast forward, we go to Whitney. And if you know, you know. Clefairy's fine. That was the biggest lie. Clefairy is a freaking beast, bro. All right, so it pulls out Metronome. I'm like, whatever, it can be anything. Gust. Are you, out of all the attacks, are you kidding me? But wait, it gets worse. So I send out Butterfree. Butterfree got some cool attacks I can use to like drain it down. Of course, Poison Powder decides to not work when I needed it to work. It's all good. Metronome, and then this thing uses Outrage. I was flabbergasted. Bro, it takes out my Butterfree, but it's all good. Because then I got the Minister of Defense himself, Sir Wartortle. I get Blizzard isn't Wartortle's stab, but it's still a pretty strong move and I thought it'd take it out, but it doesn't. Only for this thing to use Dragon Rage. Bro. Now I'm down to my last ace, Quilliva, who outspeeds it because of Clefairy being paralyzed. But then it all came down to her. Thinking I'm an adult, I can use Smokescreen to like smoke it out, but then it starts and it's inevitable. The rollouts keep going one after another, and next thing you know, I've fucking lost again. Yo, what the f? Now this is the part where Kid Me would restart the cartridge, maybe even put the game down for a week. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't because the game was too hard, it was because I didn't want to sit with the fact that I tried and it wasn't enough. And honestly, restarting was never about starting fresh. It was about erasing the failure so it didn't count. I'm not doing that anymore because you don't really learn from that. I had to sit with the failure for a bit, but then I thought about it. There is a way out. All I need to do is catch an Abra. And that's easier said than done. Because this thing teleports them when you try to attack it, so you have to get super lucky. And I wasn't as lucky. At this point in the game, I have access to great balls, but the problem is I have no money. So I literally spent most of the money to buy great balls to try to increase my chances to catch this thing. The great balls unfortunately didn't change much in my favor. And as much as I was mashing B and the directionals to try to catch it, I was down to the last great ball until I decided to just not care. Not caring about the outcomes, not caring about controlling everything, just chucking the ball and waiting for it to fall. Catching Abra meant that I can go to the department store and trade it for a matchup. Because it's a traded Pokemon, it gets boosted experience. And because of all of the normal types down in this route, I'm able to level it up pretty quick. I felt like I was Rocky jogging up the steps in Philly. I unintentionally skipped some of the trainers at the gym, but that actually ended up helping me because they had some higher level normal Pokemon that I could really get some experience from. The failure allowed me to go back to the drawing board, better prepare myself, and this time, we were ready. Clefairy was nowhere near as menacing as before, and with a couple of focus energies, Matchup was able to take that roll out like a champ. But it wasn't able to take out the Miltank. Quilava did come back to get his revenge though. But that's the point, and that's what I've been missing for so long. Avoiding failure doesn't teach you anything. You fail enough times to rethink the situation with new information that you wouldn't have thought about otherwise. The only way to get that information is to fail. Firing up this YouTube channel has taken a lot of patience. And I'd be lying if I said I don't feel that pull. That voice that says the views aren't there yet, maybe this isn't for you. It's still there, I just try not to listen to it the same way anymore. Every door I've been afraid to walk through though, that's exactly where the thing I needed was waiting. And the things that scare you the most, like me sitting at this park right now, are usually the things that matter the most. Going through Crystal is going to be a different type of journey, and I already know that. Every item I need, every Pokemon I have to catch is either locked behind a contest, buried in a cave, or dependent on a trade across 3 cartridges. And then one of the other Pokemon that I can't cheese like I did in the first generation is in this shrine, Celebi. To find Celebi, you have to find the GS ball. But to get the GS ball, you needed some kind of mobile phone attachment that was only available in Japan. But I might have a semi-legit way of getting it. We'll see what happens. The point is, I didn't walk away this time. Younger me would have restarted by this point. Got stuck at Whitney, got frustrated and shrugged it off and said I wasn't even trying anyways. Started a new file and told himself it didn't count, but it always counted. Every restart counted. Every time I put something down because it felt uncomfortable, it counted. I just didn't want to admit it. Not this time, not in this game, and not in this season. If this is lightning for you and you've made it this far, I thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe. There's more Crystal on the way, and the Pokedex run is not slowing down at any time soon. I'll see you at the next gym.